Welcome to another fine episode of AP Computer Science. Make sure you have your notebook and writing utensils handy. Before you begin to write an actual program, I need to introduce a few basic concepts of object-oriented programming. This lesson will give you a feel for object-oriented programming and introduce its conceptual foundation. Alright, let's get down to business.
To defeat the Huns.
Object-oriented programming attempts to make programs that closely model the way people think. Visual Basic is an object-oriented programming language. In OOP, a program consists of a collection of interacting objects. The world we live in is filled with objects. For example, a marker is an object. An object can be described in the terms of its attributes and behaviors. Attributes are the aspects of an object that describe it. For example, the marker is black. Behaviors are things that the object can do. The marker can draw a circle. Anything that describes an object is called an attribute. Anything that the object does is called a behavior. Another aspect of an object has to do with creation, which determines the initial state of the object. In order to use an object, it needs a definition. This definition is called a class. A class describes how the object behaves, what kind of information it contains, and how to create objects of that type. A class is the blueprint the computer uses to create objects. While a program is running, objects are created from class definitions to accomplish certain tasks. A task can range from drawing, to adding numbers, to depositing money in a bank account. To tell an object to perform a task, I send instructions to it. In Java, these instructions are known as methods. An object can only receive an instruction that it understands, which means that the instruction must be defined within its class. When the object is given an instruction not within its class, it feels like a Spanish 4 student in a French 5 class. Okay, so suppose I take the drawing tool class and create the object pen. In OOP terminology, the object pen is an instance of the drawing tool class. An object can only be an instance of one class. Some of the behaviors that the drawing tool class provides are forward, turn left, and get color. To draw a line of a specified length, I call the method forward and pass the distance to move. A value passed to an object's method is called an argument. If I need to change the direction pen is facing, I call the turn left method. This will bring a 90-degree turn to the left. 2 lefts can give you a complete reversal of direction, and 3 lefts are essentially a right turn. And notice I didn't send any arguments with the left turn method. A left turn is simply a left turn, and doesn't need any additional information from the user. The turn left and forward are situations where an object carries out a request by the user, but does not need to respond to them. Forward requires arguments from the user because the user must specify how far to move, whereas turn left operates without any specific details. However, in many situations, the object is needed to respond by returning a value. Suppose I want to know the current color that's being used for the drawing. I can use the getColored method to return a value of the color. Moving along, a program is a collection of instructions that performs a particular task on a computer. Software is a collection of one or more programs. Code refers to the actual symbols that you type in that tell the computer what instructions to execute. To develop a particular program in OOP, the programmer might begin with a set of program requirements. For example, write a program to draw a square on a piece of paper with a pen. A way to determine the objects needed in a program is to search for the nouns of the problem. This technique suggests that the program should have 3 objects: a pen, a piece of paper, and a square. Ideally, a programmer reuses an existing class to create objects, as opposed to writing new code for the same class. For the purpose of my drawing example, I will use the pre-existing drawing tool and sketchpad classes for the pen and paper objects.
However, I don't have a class for the square that is pre-made, so I gotta make my own. You don't have to understand all the details in the upcoming program. They will be covered in the next video. The state of an object depends on its components. The draw square objects includes one drawing tool object declared in the line that begins with the word drawing tool, and a sketchpad object declared in the line that begins with sketchpad. The drawing tool object is given the name pen, and the sketchpad object is given the name pad. A constructor is a method with the same name as the class. The first instruction will construct a new sketchpad object named pad with dimensions 300 by 300. The next instruction will cause a new drawing tool object named pen to be constructed using the sketchpad object named pad. An object's behavior is determined by instructions within its method. When the method draw for a draw square object is called, all the instructions within the draw method will execute in the order they appear. The first line tells the pen to actually be touching the paper. That tiny line can really screw you over if you forget it. The second instruction will cause the pen to move forward 100 units, drawing a line as it goes. The next line tells pen to turn left. The remaining 5 steps repeat the steps to draw the remaining 3 sides of the square. The draw square example illustrates the tools that a programmer uses to write a program. A program is built from objects and classes that a programmer writes or reuses. Classes are built from instructions, and these instructions are used in such a way they manipulate objects to perform the desired tasks. A programmer writes the text of a program using a software program called an editor. The text of a program in a particular programming language is referred to as the source code. The source code is stored in a file called the source file. For example, draw square source code would be created and saved in a file named drawsquare.java. Compiling is the process of converting a program written in high-level language into bytecode language the Java interpreter understands. A Java compiler will generate a bytecode file from a source file if there are no errors in the source file. In DrawSquare, the source statements in the drawsquare.java source file would be compiled to generate the bytecode file drawsquare.class. Errors detected by the compiler are called compilation errors. Compilation errors are actually pretty easy to correct. Most compilation errors are because of broken syntax rules. There are basic rules of languages that programmers must follow so that the interpreter understands what to do. It's kind of like grammar in language and varies language to language. If an error occurs while running the program, the interpreter will catch it and the program crashes and burns. Errors detected by the interpreter are called runtime errors. Runtime errors are usually caused by faulty logic in the program, such as causing the computer to try to divide by 0.